of the midway point. That is the midway point. That is 5 to 9 millimeters up from the bottom, depending on the size of the hood you use, and we need 1.5 centimeters either side of the midway point. Freehand is a simple way to do this. There's no difficulty in it. What we need is a nice curve from the hole that we've punched in to the bottom of the beak hole. We need another curve underneath from each end of the 3 centimeter line that you drew. And now I'm going to take the remainder of the beak hole out with a simple Stanley knife. Clearly, you do require sharp knives to do this, and great care should be taken, because if you slip and it contacts with your hand, then it's going to cut deep. Just gently take the corner out with the knife. Tidy up any small ragged bits at the top of the beak hole, and there you have a symmetrical beak hole. What I'm going to do now is punch 6 holes in the throat part of the hood to accommodate the throat lash. This is done with an adjustable hole punch, not an expensive item, and you need a hole about 3 or 4 millimeters. We need 6 holes evenly spaced along the throat part of the hood. An easy way to do this is 1 at each end, another one 9 or 10 millimeters in, and again at the other side, and then simply half the distances. And there you have the 6 holes in the bottom of the throat piece of the hood to accommodate the throat lash. Don't worry if you think that the hood has gone out of shape at this point. Wet leather will. All we're doing is simply putting the holes in. We will be moulding the hood into shape later on. What you need now is the 3 slits in either side of the back of the hood to accommodate the throat lash. Now these go in that angle there. The size of brace we will be using today is an 8mm brace, so clearly we need a little larger than 8mm. So we've cut 3 slits in this angle here. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do the same on the opposite side. We need 3 slits exactly the same in the opposite side of the hood. 1, 2, 3. We've cut 3 slits there, and we've cut 3 slits there. From this point here we need 3 holes. This is for the back part of the throat lash. We punched one there, one there. There's no need to measure this, it can be done by eye, and then half the distance between there and put one in. We'll do the same at the other side. 1, 2, 3. Now most of the work on this part of the hood is finished now. All we need are 2 holes in the top of the hood which will accommodate any decorative plume we wish to put in. The hole we need for that is slightly larger, and it has to be in line with this point here and the middle of the top of the beak hole. We need 2 holes very close together. And now we will tidy up any of the edges before we start to sew the hood. Now this type of hood is made inside out. The finished side of the leather being the outside of the hood, the unfinished or unfleshed side of the leather being the inside of the hood. Most people, of course, will hand sew these hoods together. Purely for artistic reasons and to save a little time, I'm going to machine stitch it. But what we'll need to do is to fold the hood in half at this point. And whichever side of the hood you would like to sew first, marry the 2 points up. That point there, as you can see, there's an angle. So that point there with that point there. Marry those up and you'll have a nice clean seam. Use a simple stab stitch to sew these 2 points together. So the seam that we'll be sewing is from there to there, as near to the edge as possible. What we're looking for is a nice, clean, even edge to the 2 pieces of leather. When we've sewn that part, we'll turn the hood around and do the same on the other side. That point there to that point there, marry the edges up, a simple stab stitch, needle through, needle through, needle through, needle through till you get to this end, and then do exactly the same in reverse. And when you're finished, you'll have a line of stitching, a continuous line of stitching on both sides. You'll be left with 2 tails of cotton. Tie a simple double hitch in the cotton and pull it nice and tight at the ends of your sewing. On the back of the hood, in the part which resembles a V, you need to fold in half till the bottoms of these points here match, and you need to put in 4 stitches there, this being the back of the hood. At this point I'm going to put the stitches in by machine. I don't need to show you that, but when I put the stitches in you will see how easy it is for the hood to be completed. As you can see, we've now sewn the hood. As I pointed out earlier, it's a simple stab stitch on those 2 seams and 4 stitches on the back of the hood. As you can see, we have the familiar Anglo-Indian hood shape, but of course we have made it inside out. What we're now going to do is soak the hood in clean water, which makes it pliable, and it'll then be ready for moulding. The hood will take a minute or two to absorb the amount of water that we need to mould the hood. The hood has now been in water for about 3 minutes. It is now very pliable, and the next step is, of course, to turn the hood the right side out. Simply invert the hood and now the seams are on the inside. Pay particular attention to push the seams as far out as possible at this stage. This can be done with your thumbnail. So I've got my thumb inside the hood and I'm pushing the seam out. Now for the hood block. This is the hood block to suit a male harrishawk. We sell them in sets of 10. The size of the hood is governed by the pattern that you use, not the hood block. So we will use a male harrishawk pattern and we will put it on the largest hood block that it will go on. It may appear too small for the hood block. Of course it isn't. We're looking to stretch the hood as far on the hood block as we can. Applying some pressure with your thumb down the seam is the best way to get the basic shape of the hood. 2 or 3 minutes spent doing this before we move on to a tool to flatten the seam. Now the tool which we use to flatten the seam is a small hammer like this. You don't need to use that. The easiest tool to use, which you will find lying about the house, is a simple dessert spoon. So taking the hood block in your left hand, if you're right-handed, tap down the seam. Now there will be a point when the seam will not go down any farther. You'll know this because the sound will sound solid instead of hollow. And the difference in the two sounds are this: the seam is up there, the leather is flat there. So that's the sound we're looking for, as opposed to that. So alternating, putting some pressure on with your thumb on the 3 seams, and then tapping down the seam. Now I'm going to spend about 5 minutes doing this. You don't need to watch that. It's the same process over and over again. I've spent about 5 minutes moulding this hood using nothing more than a dessert spoon and the ball of my thumb. As you can see, we've obtained a very nice, neat, clean seam with all of the stitching on the inside, which will every single time be light proof, purely for this reason. There is a seam on the inside of the hood. The stitching is on the inside. We've turned the seam inside out, forcing the 2 edges of the seam very tightly together. And then by tapping the seam with a jeweller's hammer or a dessert spoon, we've compressed the seam to make that joint even tighter. I've never ever made one of these hoods that has ever been anything but perfectly light proof, and I would guess I've made something like 5,000 of these hoods over 20 years. So now we're looking to dry the hood, and the tool we use to dry the hood is simply a domestic hairdryer.